What is up, everybody? You are listening, you are watching to the Constant Elevation Podcast. I am your host, Gabe Rock. Hope you're all doing well during this back half of November. I personally am doing really well because we are T-minus maybe like 30 something odd days, 30 plus days out when Lana will return home here to Florida and will become a 4 ship. The wife and I were talking about it. It does feel nice when all 4 of us together. And also her boyfriend's going to show up. Shout out to Rolando. He'll be coming out as well. They're going to be taking a trip out to Puerto Rico to actually visit his extended family. So I wish the odds ever be in Lana's favor to meet a gigantic Puerto Rican family. I don't think she knows what she's getting into, but it's going to be awesome. And then actually a fun update is this last week, we actually met Benjamin's girlfriend. Like, she's a real life person, a real life girl. Her name is Katie, and she's really sweet. So she came over. Part of the reason why she came over is because we decided that I decided that I wanted to invite her out to join us to Universal Studios when Lana comes into town. We'll go check that out. And I was like, Ben, do you think your girlfriend would want to go? And he's like, I think so. And so I talked to her. She said yes. I was like, wait, hold up a second. I need to meet this girl before we actually spend any money in this direction. She's very, very sweet. And so it'll actually be a 6th ship that'll be moving out to Universal. We're going to Islands of Adventure. So we're going to check out the Hagrid's ride and some of the stuff going on there and a lot of other stuff that's going to be going on during the week that she's going to be here. So I'm very, very excited to spend some holiday time with the entire family here. So it's going to be hella dope. And I'm looking forward to seeing our baby girl. Otherwise, everything's doing good here. I realized during this week, I think it's this week, or I don't know when it is, but it's I am not going to Alamo Ace. That's one of the 4 major AFCEA events. This one happens to be in San Antonio. I had too many TDYs going on in November. I already have some planned for January, February, and March. And so I won't be attending Alamo Ace, but shout out to all the cyber community that's going out there. Hope you all have a good time. And I'm looking forward to hearing some good news and seeing all the random social media pics of everybody taking selfies with each other. I'm not that kind of dude, but good on you guys. For those who choose to partake in that activity. But yeah, stuff has been doing good here. Actually, something came up this week that it was interesting how the ramp up of how this week's topic is going to be. And so I attended a recent event where the local wing equal opportunity office was giving a status update as far as all of the local DEOCs. So DEOCs, Defense Equal Opportunity Community Survey. I don't even know what it means, but it's the normal annual survey where it's a anonymous survey that's sent out to a formation, and then they get to answer questions of like, do they feel safe in their environment? Are they seeing like racist or sexist or any kind of inappropriate activity? How do they feel? Their confidence in leadership. A lot of it is going to be, do you agree or strongly disagree or strongly agree? And you mark yourself on a certain spectrum, how you feel. And then there's always the more fun part is the open text box section of the DEOCs. I think I made some really, maybe like season 3 or 4 talking about the DEOCs. And so I'll put a link in the description below as far as just other thoughts related to DEOC surveys. But the open textbook is the wild part. That's where people are, because it is anonymous. People will turn into keyboard warriors and just start talking smack. I mean, and some of it is going to be legit as far as things that they're concerned about. And others where people will just kind of put like these random comments. And as a commander or part of the leadership trinity, you have to read that kind of. I'll talk about how I would recommend you read it. So if you haven't ever done one of these surveys, it is very interesting. It's very difficult to try and get a lot of people to take it. I think because mainly a lot of people don't believe it does anything because they have not seen any follow-on leadership do anything for the things that have been documented within the DEOCs. But we'll talk about that in a second. So anyways, so I go to this event, and then they're talking about the status of all of the units as they are completing their survey. So one of the things is once the survey is complete, the commander will get the end result report, and then they actually are responsible for doing an outbrief to their unit within 30 days. And so that's kind of like the important parts of, hey, you get the survey done, make sure you give a outbrief to your unit within 30 days. It's a good accountability drill to make sure the commanders know that they need to go back and give some feedback to the team. It's not a one-way conversation. They should be sharing their results however they want to share them, and I'll talk about that. So then when I started talking about, hey, so this is the current status, and then someone got up at the head of the table and was like, not our table, to be sure. This is not an AFTAC thing. They were like, hey, so we have to make sure the wing commander expects the full report to be provided to them, and they're going to read it. And then I was like, wait, what? And then I heard one of the other, as I was listening, one of the squadron commanders was like, talking to the EO, like, hey, so you guys have access to the database, right? You can actually get the report, and once it's actually generated, you can just send it to the wing commander. You don't have to have an additional step where the squadron commander has to send it. And then again, there was a weird pause, and then at the end of the table, it was like, we're going to repeat. The wing commander expects the squadron commander to email them the full report, and they're going to read it. And I was like, what is happening here? Why do you keep on saying words like that? And so it just felt really, really awkward to me. So then I raised my hand and I was like, so is it required for a squadron commander to provide the report to the wing commander, or what? What does the guidance say? And the person was like, well, I looked in the DOTI and I think it says should provide. I was like, okay, words have meaning. Which one is it? And they were kind of tap dancing. I don't really know, sir, but we can look into that for you. I was like, I have the internet too. I can look it up. And so, and then but the words they said was should. I was like, huh, interesting. So this actually made me think about my first squadron command tour. And so I was a young major, and I got my first deox. I'm like, all right, sweet. And I was trying to mentally get prepared for how I'm going to read it and share it with my unit and all that jazz. So then I go, and then my group commander at the time was like, hey, so I expect all the squadron commanders to give me their full report. And I was like, okay, because I'm a young, I was like, sure, yeah, that sounds about right. And then two other squadron commanders were like, nope, I don't know about all that. And I'm watching the interaction. And there was some conversation as far as like, sir, I don't think that's a thing for you. That's really for me as a squadron commander. And the group commander was like, noted, I expect all of you to give me the report because I want to read it. And I was like, oh, wow. So then I had my follow-on huddle with the other commanders. And again, young major looking up to lieutenant colonels. I was like, hey, why do you guys, what was that? What's your reasoning as to you don't feel comfortable sharing it? And they're like, this is my report. It's my unit. Like it's very, and I don't think it's very personal, but like, it's like inside information that needs to be, the squadron commander needs to be aware of, and is really confidential to them, because it's up to them to actually use that information in order to, promote positive change or do something or fix problems within the unit. Has nothing to do, there's no reason why the group commander really needs to see it. If the squadron commander felt compelled to share it with that group commander, that's one thing. But as far as a group commander or even higher directing a squadron commander to provide the full report, that became a formative event for me. I was like, no, that's not how I don't believe that's the correct way we should be doing this. And so when I go back and look at the regs say is a summary should be provided to the wing commander. It's like, yeah, that sounds about right. Like you can show like, hey, sir, ma'am, here are the big highlights coming out of the report. Everything on this side is pretty good to go. We're meeting and or above the Air Force standard. Here are some problem areas and how I'm going to get after it. Whatever you're going to do, you could just make that summary. You could use the exact same summary deck if you built one during your outbreak to the unit and just forward that to your wing commander. And then you could just say, sir, ma'am, yes, I've completed this within 30 days of the final report. You're done and done, right? Ideally, it should be in that direction. And then I will let you know, I will let my wing commander know if I need any help. In my head, that's how things should be going. And so because that memory was very formative to me, I started getting the automated messages from the system stating certain squadrons in our group completed their DEOC survey. So I sent a note to the commander. I was like, hey, congratulations, or hopefully have fun with your DEOCs, and however that's going to be. It's every commander's favorite, not favorite. And I said, if you choose to share it with me, cool. And if you want to keep it to yourself and your team, also cool. Doesn't matter to me. Just let me know how I can help, and I believe you got this. And then that was literally the same text. I just copy pasted it to 3 of the squadron commanders to let them know, like, here's my stance on this. And we had a follow-on conversation 2 days ago in my office, just kind of talk through the whole thing. I shared with them that story, and I shared them my position. I was like, I don't want to see, if you feel like you want to share it, that's one thing. But like, that ended up becoming like a weird kind of leadership moment for me. I'm like, no, these are things that are commander stuff. And there needs to be a degree of confidentiality and trust that like, nope, you're going to do that. If I was going to read the squadron commander, what am I reading it for? I'm not going to read it as far as like, it's almost like reading comments on like a social media channel. Like, no, I don't need to read this. This is for somebody else's use, that specific commander and that leadership team, to affect change in their unit. And we also talked about like how to read it. We talked about like, hey, so don't take certain things as a grain of salt. You might see things that are going to start triggering you, and like you may even know who's saying that, but look for the morsels of truth in there, because maybe that's going to be something actionable, and maybe remove the emotion from it, right? And so tried to, and some of them, they're first time commanders, and and they are trying to just make sure that they take it as like, how do I actually digest this information and what's going to be actionable? Do I even trust what's being said? Like, I can't tell you, no one knows exactly like how egregious or kind of crazy that someone's going to be putting something in that deox, but you still need to read it and actually figure out what you want to do with the information. And so it became a conversation. I was like, I trust all of you. I trust all of you to do your job because, one, I don't want to do your job. Two, I believe you got this. You are closest to your formations. You understand, you see it day in and day out. What are the problems? I'm one level removed from it. And so it'd be curious for me, but I honestly have other things to do at my level and above. That's where I'm diverting my attention. And, but always, if you need something from me, by all means, if you just want some advice or just some, if you need actually things at the group or wing level to change, then yes, please let me know. Talk amongst yourselves, because I believe all you have interesting tactics and techniques that you might borrow from each other and be able to make and implement in your units that with not knowing that it was going to be positive results. Those are good stuff. But by no means am I going to try and get inside baseball and try and double check your homework, see what your unit's saying about yourself, or even worse, if they're talking about me. I don't care. I believe there's a degree of trust that needs to be left into us squadron commanders, and I do hope that I see less of demanding of you will send me. Yeah, obviously, you're the chain of command. It is an order that is not illegal or more unethical. Of course, if your leadership says you will give me the full report, sure, that there's nothing wrong with directing that order. But should you though? That's a different question. I'm not going to, and I hope that as these young leaders move up in their chain and they get increased responsibility, maybe they think about that, because it does send a message like, what are you doing? Why are you trying to get more inside baseball than you really need? Do you not trust that level of leadership? And you can simply just say, nope, I don't need to see this. Just how can I help? That's probably what I believe is the most important thing a leader can do at the next level. So. That was what I wanted to talk about this week. It was a weird way how the thing kind of coincided, but it definitely led to this week's content as far as just constant elevation leadership stuff. I realize that this is episode, I think, 149. So I'm hitting close to next week, or assuming I do it next week, will be episode 150. It's crazy that I've been doing this that long. Also want to say shout out to Shooter Sims for actually completing another season of his podcast, Sensation Nation. Pretty dope. And I know we have some, he has like the entire bench of all the most important people that need to be interviewed. And I just do it solo. And I think both skill sets are very, very important. I've grown comfortable with my version of how I like to share my leadership style and my thoughts. Very, very grateful to everybody who tunes in every week in and day out. So if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to his YouTube channel, as well as follow on your favorite podcast platform. We're still doing it. I'm still enjoying here, even going into the holidays, and starting off where I started, ending where I started. I'm very, very excited for the family to get back together again. We're going to be doing there's a lot of stuff we get to take advantage of here in Patrick, and so we will. And yeah, looking forward to holiday season. So for all of you, take care of yourselves, and we'll talk to you next week. Peace.